NVR-LAND is a mindset and a platform to inspire those who seek inspiration, to motivate people to never give up, and to encourage people to dream, and to drive people to better themselves. Welcome back. We're here with EMIN today. She's a barrister. Tell us a bit more about your job and what you do.
I am a criminal barrister at 6 Pump Court Chambers, and I practice crime. So I defend all types of crime. Interesting.
Very interesting. Also, you have the legal page, which is something that we've spoke about quite a bit. There's a video on there in particular I really like, and it's the stop and search one. What made you do that?
I think we started the page last year around July, and it was around the same time as the Black Lives Matter protests, and it's always been a problem, stop and search with the police. And I think that the aim of the page was to educate not just members of the public, but the police, and just so that everyone's aware of what your rights are and what the law is in relation to stop and search, arrest, and other topical issues that may come up.
Because that is the main reason you did it, just to teach people, basically, to educate.
Yeah, it's not an advice page. I'm not allowed to advise in that way, but it's to educate and to provide information, and to help people feel comfortable with the laws and the society that we live in.
So obviously NVR-LAND is about not giving up and pushing for your dreams, that kind of thing. So give us a never giving up story that you've had or you've experienced in your life.
Oh, I think I've had so many. The road to becoming a barrister, I think, was just full of rejection from the beginning. You are just faced with so many no's. You know, everybody's telling you don't do this, don't do this job, and if you really want it, you have to keep going. I think that's the same with anything. You have to keep going. I just remember every application for the first 2 years that I did, you get so close and then they say no, and it's really damaging to your self-esteem, to your confidence, and your mental health, and you just have to carry on if that's what you want to do. So I think I just faced a lot of rejection at the beginning, but obviously it worked out at some stage. So
what was actually like a main feeling that you used to feel? A main feeling when it was a no, what was that? Because some people it's like, no, fuck it, I'm just going to do it anyway, or I'm going to go again, I'm going to be stronger next time. But what was your thoughts? What was your mindset?
Yeah, I think every time I was told no, the initial shock is hurtful, but I knew what I wanted to do. And so I just thought, I'm not going to stop until I get there. And so I just carried on. And I thought, there's a time limit where you have to get the job you have to get it within 5 years. And so I reached the 3rd year and I got it in the 3rd year. But when you think you have to do it in 5 years, there's that added pressure.
Of course.
But yeah, I just carried on.
Interesting. Help us visualise a younger EMIN.
Okay.
That chuckle means there's going to be plenty of stories here.
No, I'm not telling you any stories. If you want to know, you can go and ask my mum. She'll tell you that when I was young, I was this absolute, really loud, naughty tomboy.
Wow.
And I think I just used to shout and scream, and I think she kind of knew this was the path for me anyway. But that's what I was like. I was quite naughty.
So back to you being naughty, but away from that, in terms of school and stuff, what was you like?
At school, I think in primary school I was fine. I was fine. I was probably quite chatty. In secondary school, I really enjoyed school, and a bit too much, I think. And I didn't do I didn't do very well in my GCSEs. And then in my A-levels, I did better because I realised I need to pull my socks up and I need to do well if I want to do something with my life. And so I just put my head down and studied at A-levels. But up until then, I just lived life. I just enjoyed school. I enjoyed my friends, just being a general child, teenager. That's what I loved doing. And then when I realised what I wanted to do, I knew I had to put my head down.
Yeah. So what things did you excel in school, and what things were you like the worst at?
I was good at art. I still do art now. I still like painting and drawing. and English. I was good at English. I was really bad at science, but I really loved it. I loved the topic, but I just was really terrible. I had really bad grades, but I think that was partly to do with the teachers. I really liked the teachers that I had.
Oh.
I wasn't very good at maths.
Maths either?
No, I'm still not very good at maths.
Is it?
No, I hate it.
Do a quick maths now?
No. It's not going to happen.
All right, fine. Role models. Have you got any role models? It doesn't have to be like someone you know. It can be, if you want it to be. It can be someone that you look up to.
I don't have celebrity role models or anyone that I think I want to be. But I suppose my grandparents are the nucleus of my family, and they're so full of love and support, and they're amazing storytellers, and they really are the foundation. I think that they've built everything. They built a whole family. They built our lives here from scratch, having come from India, and they built they grew this 40 person family.
How much?
There's about 40 of us, a very close family. And so they made that foundation. They're just general, really good human beings. And so I think I'm very lucky. And that I suppose they are my role models, but they also created my mum, who is, I won't go into it, but I think she is the very definition of strength, and especially in the face of adversity. And she's somebody that I think if I could be like her, as strong as her, then I've made it in life. So
have you learnt from, I don't know, a book, a movie, a person, anything you learnt from that you've learnt your mindset from and kind of put it into your day-to-day life today?
Everybody that I've come across in my life has taught me something in some kind of way, whether it's there as a real lesson or it's an inadvertent lesson. So I suppose everybody has taught me something, anyone that I've come across. But if I had to choose one person, it would probably be my karate instructor.
Oh yeah.
So when I started on 6 or 7. It's a family-run gym, and my family used to go, so it's almost like our families were kind of all there. I spent most of my time there, my summers. Well, my instructor in particular taught me about confidence and resilience and determination and competitiveness and really working hard for something and really pushing me. He was always making me aim for the next belt, and then when I got my black belt and competing and everything. So I think he was the one person. I'm not showing off, I'm just telling, but that's what pushed me. And I think that's the one thing I always come back to. Even now, I don't feel like myself if I don't train, and that's been instilled in me from such a young age. So I think that's probably the person I would say.
So you say you still train now?
I still train.
Ever going to compete again?
I don't know. No. It's very difficult. If I get a black eye,
very true,
and go to court, very true. I have to explain. I'd have to explain what that's all about.
Yeah. Unless you batter the person and you come out with no bruises.
That's true, but there's always a risk.
True. Have you got any advice you would like to give somebody that's trying to do what you've done, kind of accomplish what you've accomplished, or even any bit of advice you could tell somebody or give somebody that's trying to do something in life, in terms of mindset, of course?
Yeah, I think I once read a book, and ironically, I'm going to steal from that book, but it's called Steal Like an Artist. And it teaches you that nothing is original. So everything you do, you don't plagiarize, you don't copy, but everything you do is taken from somewhere. So even artists who do original pieces, there's nothing original about it. They've been inspired by something, and you should always try to take something away from every experience that you had. And I think that's the advice I would give to somebody. Always try and make the most of something you're doing, even if it's something you don't like or it's something you have to do in that period of time. You should always try and look to take something from it.
Is there any stories where you was told no and you just thought, F it, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't care what you say. I don't care what this person says. I want that goal and I'm getting it.
Yes. So I've already touched upon my amazing karate skills.
Yeah.
And I was at a tournament once and I arrived and there was nobody in my category. Everyone had dropped out. And I really wanted to fight. I think I'd trained for ages for this tournament. And then I looked it was on the table, and I looked on this table, and there's another girl in another category, and she was on her own as well. And I just said to my instructor, well, I'll just fight her. And then he said, okay, let me go and find her instructor. Let's see if we can pay you up, even though you're in separate categories. I didn't know why she was in that category, and I didn't know who she was. We find her instructor, and it turns out she's this French champion, who was about 7 years older than I was, and that's why she was in that category, and I was in the kids category at 15 years old. And I was just so adamant I wanted to fight, and I said it's fine. And her instructor was saying, no, you don't understand. My girl's champion. You can't put them together. Your girl will get hurt. And my instructor, being who he is, saying, no, it's fine. She can do it. And then I was saying, no, I want to do it. So
you must have been good then for him to still have the confidence in you to do so, to actually fight this woman.
I don't think he had the heart to say no to me, so he just kind of wanted me to do what I think. I don't know, to be honest. I mean, I knew I wanted to fight that day. I'd been preparing for it. We'd been training for it, and I think it's such a huge disappointment when you get somewhere and everything's shattered. And so I think there was a bit of that with him too. I think he'd mentally prepared for the fact that all of his fighters were going to fight that day. So we fought, and then it didn't end very well for me. To be fair to me, I nearly won until so I was told by my instructor's son, who also is a really good friend of mine, and he's a really good mentor, and he said I think he'd seen her fight before. And he said, she loves kicking. Just don't give her the room to kick you, because once she kicks you, that's it, game over. So I stayed really close to her so she couldn't roundhouse kick me until the last 10 seconds. And I stepped back. I must have stepped back about 3 inches, and I just felt this kick to the side of my face, and I was just completely dazed. I didn't get knocked out, but I think I nearly did.
Wow.
And I just had to keep the fight going for 10 more seconds. But it was at that stage, I didn't do anything in the last 10 seconds, just tried to hold myself up. Wow. And then I lost. But the video of it was amazing. I'll show you one day. It's really entertaining. And my mum wasn't happy with the black eye and the fat lip.
So daily routines. Do you have a daily routine?
Not really. Every day's different. And it just depends on what kind of hearing it is. It might be at home, I might be doing a video link hearing, or I have to go into court, which is usually the case. And so I could be finished really early. I might be finished within half an hour, or I finish at 2:00. It depends, but I always have to kind of go back to work. The court day might finish, but I end up going back home, doing work for a few more hours. Then I go to the gym or train. I'll go to training, switch off, and then I'll carry on working until about 1:00.
So when you say 1:00, that's just preparing for the next day type thing.
Yeah. So because of the time, we don't really always know what we're doing until the next day. So court hearings might be taken out of a list or the diary. And so you have to be prepared to prepare something very last minute, but you still have to put that same effort in to something. So you have to make sure that everything is done and ready for the hearing the next day prior to the hearing. You can't do anything on the day. It's important. Someone's life's at stake, and they might be going to prison. So you have to make sure you're really careful.
So you don't have anything in the morning where you have a cup of tea or anything like that to get yourself ready?
Oh, I do. I'm a tea addict, so I love tea. So I always have a cup of tea in the morning, but it's usually when I get to court.
Okay.
So my routine when I get to court is put my heels on, put my wig and my gown on. You have to get ready, you have to wear the collarette, and then I sit down, have a cup of tea, and then just kind of read over what I've prepared to make sure that there isn't anything missing. Meet my client, and then speak to them, and then we're ready for the day. So it's usually I do get to work about an hour before I need to be there, just so that I've settled in and kind of getting ready, physically ready into the wig and gown. It's like a routine. It's almost like teeing yourself up to go, psyching yourself up to go into the ring. It's like that kind of thing. I think that's I just think that's part and parcel of the job. When you're at the beginning of your career, I'm still trying to make sure I get everything right, and there's quite a lot of pressure, and I think you have to put that time in. You have to, you've got someone's life, and they might go to prison. There's lots at stake. You have to be careful.
Of course. And why do you do what you do?
This is such a difficult question. I've always really been interested in crime, obviously not committing it, but just the whole kind of arena and the criminal justice system. As a teenager and growing up, was quite a reactive person, and defending people comes quite naturally. And so when you have to defend against an argument or a piece of evidence, I feel really comfortable with that. And I think I like being able to stand up for someone or to represent somebody. I think I really feel like that's the most effective way I can contribute that trait. And I just enjoy it. I think every day is different, and you meet different people, and you're doing different things, different kinds of offences, new cases. And one day I'll be doing a drugs case, and the next day I'll be doing, I don't know, driving or an assault, like GBH. It just depends. Robberies. It varies. Every single day is different depending on the person. So I think it's just that variety. I've never had a day that's been exactly the same as the day before.
Okay, so what would you be doing if you weren't doing what you're doing?
I think where I loved science, I probably would have gone into something like medicine. I'm just not very clever. It's so difficult. I do find it. I found those kinds of exams quite hard. But that would have been something I would have done, or some kind of marine biology. I like the ocean and that kind of thing. So maybe something to do with that.
But obviously we spoke before about you being a doctor. That was something that you always wanted
to do. Yeah, that's probably something I would do. But my sister is now training to be a doctor, so I can live her career. I can do it vicariously through her.
Fair enough. Okay, so if anyone wanted to find out a bit more information about the legal page, where would they find you? It's
not an advice page, so that you can't go on there to ask for advice. And there is a disclaimer about that. We've got certain rules, but if it's general information, we're always doing different topics, and there's loads of things on there. There's stop and search, arrest. We've just done one on consent. There's other topics coming up as well. So
perfect. The stop and search one is a really, really good one, so I think you should go and check it out. Really interesting one.
Thank you.
It's good. And there we have it. End of the episode. Thanks for coming. Thanks so much. And hope you enjoyed it.